What's the difference between a healthy rabbit and an odd rabbit? One is a fit bunny and the other is a bit funny.